Tony Stark's Iron Man suits aren't just technological marvels. They're filled with hidden messages, Easter eggs, and personal touches that reveal the man behind the mask. Let's decode every secret detail Stark embedded in his armor and discover what they really say about his journey. The arc reactor's secret code. Look closely at the arc reactor in Tony's chest, and you'll notice faint numerical sequences etched around the edges. These aren't random numbers, they're coordinates. Specifically, they point to 3 locations. The coordinates where his parents died, the cave in Afghanistan where he was held captive, and the exact spot in New York where he flew the nuke through the portal. Tony literally carries the weight of these moments over his heart as a constant reminder of why he fights. Mark I's hidden inscription. On the inside of the Mark I helmet, barely visible unless you know where to look, Tony scratched a single phrase in the metal. First flight, last chance. He carved this while still captive, knowing that if the suit failed, he'd never leave that cave alive. This inscription became his personal mantra, and he secretly included variations of it in every suit that followed. The color psychology. The iconic red and gold color scheme wasn't just about looking cool. Red represents the blood he's willing to shed to protect others, a direct response to his guilt over Stark Industries' weapons. Gold symbolizes his wealth, yes, but also his father's legacy and the golden opportunity for redemption. When he briefly considered a silver suit in the early designs, he rejected it, stating that he needed the reminder of what was at stake every time he looked at himself. Mark 42's binary message. The Mark 42 had a peculiar feature that most people missed: small panels on the forearms that would occasionally flash in sequences. These weren't malfunctions. The flashing patterns were actually binary code that spelled out PEPPER over and over. Tony programmed this during his panic attacks after the Battle of New York, a subconscious way of keeping her close even when pushing her away emotionally. The shoulders of giants. Every suit from Mark 7 onwards has microscopic text etched on the shoulder plates. Written in letters smaller than a human hair, it says, "Standing on the shoulders of giants," a tribute to Howard Stark, Ho Yinsen, and every scientist whose work made the Iron Man suits possible. Tony added this after realizing he didn't create the suits alone, but rather built upon generations of innovation and sacrifice. Jarvis's secret name. Jarvis isn't just an acronym for just a rather very intelligent system. It's also a tribute. If you rearrange certain letters from each word and add the Roman numerals hidden in early suit designs, they spell out Jarvis, Edwin's legacy. Edwin Jarvis was the Stark family butler who practically raised Tony, and naming his AI after him was Tony's way of keeping that father figure close, even after death. The Mark 50's Nano Countdown. The Mark 50's nanobots contained a hidden feature that nobody except Tony knew about. Each nanobot had a microscopic serial number, and if you arranged them in order, they counted down the exact number of days since the Battle of New York. Tony's PTSD was so severe that he programmed his most advanced suit to literally remind him, down to the day, how long he'd been carrying that trauma. The repulsor frequencies. The sound frequency of the repulsors isn't random. Tony tuned each suit's repulsors to emit a specific harmonic frequency when fired together. The Mark III's frequency, when analyzed, matches the musical notes of Back in Black by AC/DC. The Mark 43's repulsors hum at a frequency that, if you slow it down 1,000 times, sounds remarkably like a heartbeat. Specifically, the heartbeat pattern of a panic attack, something Tony experienced frequently. The helmet's HUD messages. Throughout the films, if you pause at the right moments, you can see hidden text in the HUD displays. During the Battle of New York, there's a brief flash that reads, "Don't forget to call Pepper." Before fighting Thanos on Titan, a message appears for a single frame. Make it count. These were automated reminders Tony programmed to keep himself grounded and focused on what truly mattered. Mark 85's final secret. The Mark 85, Tony's final suit, contained perhaps his most heartbreaking hidden message. On the interior of the right gauntlet, the one that would eventually wield the Infinity Stones, Tony had engraved a message in microscopic text, proof that Tony Stark has a heart. The same phrase from the arc reactor that Pepper gave him, coming full circle. He knew what using the stones would cost, and he wanted those words to be the last thing he saw. The War Machine connection. Every suit Tony built had a hidden subroutine in its code called Rhodey Protocol. This wasn't just about the suits he built for James Rhodes, it was a failsafe in every Iron Man armor. If Tony's vital signs ever flatlined while in a suit, the armor would automatically beacon Rhodey's location and send a final recorded message. After Tony's death, Rhodey discovered he had dozens of these messages, one from nearly every mission, each saying, "If you're hearing this, I'm glad you weren't here." The Infinity Stone holders. Long before the Mark 85 wielded the Infinity Stones, Tony had been preparing. Starting with the Mark 50, every suit he built contained nanobots specifically designed to withstand exotic energy signatures. The molecular structure of these nanobots spelled out the names of the 6 Infinity Stones in their atomic arrangement. Tony had been planning for this confrontation since Titan, encoding the solution into the very building blocks of his armor, the spider signal integration. After meeting Peter Parker, Tony included a hidden feature in his suit starting with the Mark 47. Each one contained a specialized beacon that would activate if Peter was in danger, even if Tony was on the other side of the world. The beacon's signal pattern wasn't random. It pulsed in the same rhythm as Itsy Bitsy Spider, Tony's subtle dad joke way of keeping tabs on the kid. The speed dial numbers. The HUD in every suit had a speed dial feature. Most numbers were obvious: Pepper, Happy, Rhodey. But there was always one number that Tony never called but never deleted. A disconnected number that once belonged to Yinsen. Tony kept it in every suit as a reminder of the man who told him not to waste his life. Occasionally, late at night in his workshop, he'd hover over that contact, unable to call but unwilling to let go. The failsafe poetry. Buried in the code of every suit was a complete poem, split across millions of lines of programming. If you extracted every 1,000th line of code and assembled them, they formed Invictus by William Ernest Henley, the same poem that ends with, "I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul." Tony programmed this as a reminder during his darkest moments that despite everything, he still had choices. The Mark numbers meaning. The progression of Mark numbers wasn't just sequential. Tony deliberately skipped certain numbers that held painful significance. There's no Mark 13 because that's the number of soldiers killed by a Stark Industries missile that he witnessed in Afghanistan. He jumped from Mark 27 to Mark 28 without building the number in between because 27 was his age when his parents died. The chest RT's light pattern. The arc reactor's light doesn't just glow, it pulses in a specific pattern. In the early suits, it pulsed at Tony's resting heart rate. But starting with the Mark 42, after his panic attacks, the arc reactor pulsed at Pepper's heart rate. He reprogrammed it to match hers after a particularly bad night, finding that syncing to her heartbeat helped calm his anxiety. He never told her the Unibeam's hidden function. The Unibeam wasn't just a weapon, it was also a message projector. Tony programmed it to project holographic messages in emergencies. The most important one was a full hologram of his final will and testament, along with personal messages to everyone he loved. It would only activate if his vital signs ceased while wearing the suit. The first line of his message to Pepper, "You were right about everything." The emergency protocol names. All of Tony's emergency protocols had names: Clean Slate, House Party, JARVIS. But there was one protocol that never activated, hidden deep in every suit's programming: Proof Protocol. This would only trigger if both Tony and Pepper died, sending Morgan a holographic message and automatically transferring all Stark Industries assets to her, along with complete blueprints for the Mark I and a note that said, "If you want to build one, build a better world with it first." These hidden messages transform the Iron Man suits from mere machines into a diary of Tony Stark's soul. Every fear, every hope, every sacrifice encoded into the very metal and circuitry. They're proof that the man and the armor were never truly separate, and that every piece of technology he created was, in its own way, a love letter to the people he was trying to protect. So what do you think? Which hidden message hit you the hardest? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the secrets of the MCU. See you in the next video.